Hi everyone, I'm Tracy Matisak and I'm here with Don Scott. Don is an historian, he is a journalist, and he's an assistant professor of English at Community College of Philadelphia. He's going to be our speaker for the Humanities on the Road taping of Saluting Camp William Penn. Camp William Penn, if you didn't know, was a training camp in the Cheltenham area for black troops during the Civil War. It is a little known and fascinating piece of our history, Don, and Don has written a book all about that, so that's what we're going to be talking about. Don, I'm interested to know, in a city that is so proud of its history and a story that is so important not only locally but nationally as it relates to Civil War history, why don't we know more about this?
Well, actually, and to be blunt, it has a lot to do with the legacy of racism. Frederick Douglass once called Philadelphia the most racist metropolis in the country. With that particular legacy, even though we did have large elements of freedom fighters and Quakers who assisted and supported black people, over the years since slavery and during slavery, the accomplishments of African Americans have been minimized. So I believe that is one of the major problems, despite some bright lights.
Well, we are thankful for the research that you've done because it really does shed light on an area of our history that we need to know. And as I understand it, your father-in-law was key in terms of inspiring your work. He was the first black graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy,
Actually,
correct?
That's right.
Tell us about him.
Yes, in 1949, he was the first African American to graduate from that institution. Keep in mind that that institution was founded in 1845. So it took 100 years actually for an African American to graduate. Before him, there had been 5 other African Americans hazed out or forced out in one way or the other. But in 1949, after his pushing through obviously his intelligence and fortitude, he made it out of Annapolis. And today in Annapolis, there is a $54 million building named for him, the Wesley A. Brown Fieldhouse. So we are very proud of his accomplishments, and he's been very inspirational to me. Although he is or was in the Navy, he helped me a lot with the guiding me to resources with respect to Camp William Penn, and he actually even sold a few of my books during his speaking engagements.
Wow. Well, it doesn't get better than that.
Exactly.
Tell us about the resources, since you mentioned that you compiled to put together this book. I mean, you've got some wonderful photographs, you've got all kinds of great information. How did you go about compiling all of that?
You know, I cast a very wide net, and I used several techniques. Of course, number one, I visited repositories up and down the East Coast. I used a lot of web resources and emailed at least 500 to 600 people. And I started to get bits and pieces of information through the web, great information such as from this institution, the National Archives, the Historical Society of Pennsylvania, Library Company of Philadelphia, and just a number of smaller institutions throughout the state of Pennsylvania, Maryland, and other eastern states. And everything just started to come together.
Yeah. A lot of research went into this project, and we should mention we are at the National Archives in Center City, Philadelphia. That's where we are taping Humanities on the Road, Saluting Camp William Penn. It is going to be a wonderful program. Don Scott is our featured speaker. We hope you can join us for that. I'm Tracy Matisak. See you next time.